So there we have it. South Africa, the Springboks, are back-to-back World Cup champions, the undisputed best nation, the greatest nation ever in the Rugby World Cup. They won by a point, 11 points to 12, and they won the quarters and the semi by a point, but winning is winning, and that is what South Africa do. In this game, they were super consistent. I think you'd say the biggest point for them was their defence, their pressure, their line speed, and some huge tackles which kept going and going and going all game. And at this point as well, thank you very much if you've been following my channel for this World Cup. If you like this sort of content, do feel free to like and subscribe. That would be amazing. I really appreciate all the comments I've had in this World Cup. But let's get stuck into this game. How was the game won? How was the World Cup won? Plenty of things to talk about, even though it was a very tight game. It was a rainy day, and that was a big point. We'll come back to that. Both teams obviously pumped up. You saw Khaleesi in the tunnel, really pumped. Sam Cane spearheading the haka, really menacing his eyes. So you knew it was going to be a big one. An early drama. New Zealand, one clear thing I think they got wrong in this game is something I'd been talking about with New Zealand for a lot in this World Cup. They do have a tendency of just overplaying their skill. On a wet day like today, in that first half especially, they were trying to run the ball from within their own half, around halfway, against maybe the best defence in the world, and they really came off second best. Now, it's something I wondered if they'd do in one of my preview shows, I think for the semi-final with Zach from Hacker Time Rugby. I said this is something that New Zealand can do, and they changed it. Interestingly, after the red card, which of course we'll get to, they actually changed and played a much more sensible game, but it was too late. So tactically, definitely one up to the Springboks. Also, their 7-1 split paid off in the end. They didn't have to replace Faf de Klerk. There was a little bit of a worry hooker-wise, but Fourie covered very well. So hats off to the South African coaches, especially the departing Ninabar. They got their tactics spot on, and I think Foster and his coaches actually got it wrong. But early on, a bit of a scare, New Zealand putting that ball through the hands, like I said, and Bonga Mbonambi looks badly injured, and it's a nasty looking judo roll clear out from Frizzell. He gets a yellow on review, and as some of the techniques in modern rugby, I hate the judo roll, is being penalised now, so whoever's taught Frizzell to do that judo roll, I think they should get a red card as well, the coaches, because it's not actually rucking either, deliberately going off your feet, and especially trying to twist the knee. I hate it. I mean, if a player is told don't do that anymore, trust me, these top players will not do that. So I think that's a bad call from the coaching there from New Zealand as well. They shouldn't be coaching the judo roll. I know a lot of nations do, but it's horrible. It looks like Mbonambi was okay in the end, although he did have to go off. They called it tactical, so he could have come on if needed, but Fourie went the distance, so it wasn't a problem in the end, but I didn't like that. But anyway, penalty to South Africa for that yellow, so they go up straight away 0-3. And yet, already making notes that I'm not sure why New Zealand are playing this passing tactics in their own half when the South African pressure is so good and they know it's going to be so good. And yeah, dangerous in the wet. But that early momentum, it's with South Africa. They're playing the smart wet weather rugby, putting the huge crossfield bombs in, of course. And they weren't too good at that against England, but they were right on it today. The New Zealand backfield really struggled. Beauden Barrett early on, he really struggled. And with the follow-up tackles from the likes of Peter, Steph du Toit, God, that man was on a mission today. They're just hammering them if they make the tackle. If they don't make the tackle, they're there to hoover it up. If they don't make the catch, they're there to hoover it up. Anyway, Fourie's first line out is on the money, and South Africa play their safe 3-man pods round the corner plays. New Zealand can't get near that ball. Faf de Klerk takes advantage of Cody Taylor slow getting away, wins a penalty 0-6. Perfect start for South Africa, and New Zealand, they just don't recover in the end. New Zealand do get back to 15 men, but the first 12 minutes they were completely stuck in their own half. New Zealand stick to their running game. They do manage to work Frizzell free on 13 minutes out wide, which is why it was important for them to have 15 back on. And then Faf de Klerk takes a man out off the ball, and New Zealand actually get into some good phases in the South African 22. Smart chip, nearly puts Ardie Savea in, if for the bounce of the ball maybe. But anyway, they get some points from the penalty, 3-6, it's a penalty advantage, so they're in the game. And after a poor game at 15 against England for Willemse, I just make a note here that he had a really good game catching and kicking, so good response from him. Ardie Savea is next to infringe. He actually had a really good game, but it's a halfway kick from Pollard. Great kick, just drops over, so 3-9, spot on kicking from Pollard. Great start for South Africa. That's exactly what they would have wanted. Now, after about 25 minutes, I think the penny starts to drop for New Zealand and they do start playing that tactical kicking game, but they've wasted a good 20-25 minutes of the game. They finally do it and they do tackle Willemse into touch straight away. They have a good chance, but Etzebeth steals the line out, and the All Blacks line out is definitely feeling that pressure in this first half, and another horror overthrow from Taylor actually after that, just feeling that pressure. They do sort out their line out later on, but in this first half, not that good. On 27 minutes, a huge moment in the game, just when New Zealand are getting some tactical kicking going, forcing a few errors from South Africa. Sam Cane spoils it with a high shot on Creel. It goes under review and then it gets upgraded to a red card. But yes, Creel is quite low, but the key thing is Cane is bolt upright in the tackle, head up, he hits him hard into the head. You know my thoughts on it. I did a whole video on this head up tackle, this upright tackle that is being coached in modern rugby, and it's going to happen. These cards are going to happen. If you coach it, it's going to happen. So have a check out of that video if you want to see what I say in detail about it. But yeah, it's the risk you take. Cane took it, he got the red card, and in the end, it definitely hurt New Zealand, even though they came back into the game a bit. On half an hour, South Africa go into their first running play of the match, catching New Zealand a little bit napping in midfield. They prod the kick through to Arenza, he's nearly in, but most importantly, they're keeping New Zealand pinned back, force a penalty, and they take the points instead of the line out, but it goes over, so 3 points to 12. Now, just before half time, the red card actually has woken up New Zealand a bit. There's a bit more fire in their attack. They're playing much smarter rugby, playing a little bit tighter, looking after the ball, not forcing the pass. Talea's getting into the game, and it looks like Ioane's been worked in out wide, but amazing pace from Colby to save the day. But Etzebeth is slow getting back, concedes a penalty, so 6-12 at half time. And I just can't help thinking that the New Zealand tactics were all wrong. They were playing into that South African defensive strength, their press, but it's starting to even out tactically, but New Zealand obviously a man down. And in the second half, it's the same tactics from South Africa. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're just doing the things they do really well. High crossfield bomb, a case in point from Pollard. Beauden Barrett spills it, and he had a tricky day at the back. It was wet conditions. Khaleesi swoops up, but Geordie Barrett just saves the day, holding up South Africa over the line. So that could have been a killer blow there for South Africa. So both sides having chances to score. Beauden Barrett, yes, really struggling under the high ball. Peter Steph-Toy swooping on another one just after that, and it's high energy stuff from the South African forwards chasing a lot, but they do have 6 more forwards on the bench left over. Attacking kicks, they're killing New Zealand. Willemse with a grubber through, amazing chase from Arenza, and it looks for all the world like he's scored. No, he darts round Beauden Barrett amazingly to gather, but just fumbles before the line. So again, South Africa really could have put the game away right there, but he doesn't, and it makes for a thrilling end. And then another interesting point is a head-on-head contact from Khaleesi, but the big difference is Khaleesi is dipping in the tackle. I've noted that South Africa do tackle a bit lower than other teams actually. When I did my comparison for the head-up tackle against Ireland and South Africa were dipping a lot more than Ireland, so that saves Khaleesi there. It's kind of accidental head collision, so stays a yellow. But yeah, New Zealand are getting the idea with their tactics. Talea, brilliant rip off Arenza in the air, but Mo'unga, a bad drop out wide, so mistakes both sides to score some points here. And then big moment from New Zealand, they get to an edge with Cody Taylor, really good step on the drifting Deolandi, who got caught out badly in defence a few times for pace, just a bit lumbery. The New Zealand penalty goes to the corner, they could have kicked it. Big call. Surveyor's been an absolute carrying beast for New Zealand, but too complex handling once again, and they lose the chance. So big chance gone there for New Zealand. The 2 star forwards, in my opinion, are on for South Africa, Oxenche and RG Snyman. But to be fair to New Zealand, they held up in the scrum. That was one weapon South Africa couldn't use, but in the end, it didn't matter. 55 minutes. New Zealand getting lots of good possession now. They're playing so much better with a man down. Another big moment. It looks like Richie Mo'unga is going nowhere. But the South African defence rushes up a little too fast. He steps Arenza, and then he's got De'Landi drifting out to him. It looks like he should make it, but goodness me, De'Landi is going through treacle, looks very slow. Mo'unga just burns him for pace, scores a try, but it's callback for a knock-on, which it was. But yeah, another big moment there. So at the beginning of that second half, could have been tries both ways. New Zealand, they need to get points because they're having big pressure here against South Africa for the first time. Geordie wings out a loopy wide pass. Again, it looks like nothing's on. Talea's at a standing start, but brilliant stuff from Talea. He steps to and hands off Creel. Just offloads to Beauden Barrett to score. Genius stuff from Talea. He had an absolutely fantastic game. So 11, 12 and 55 minutes. That is the last point of the game actually, but it's still a super exciting finish. Now the rest of the game is just so tense, just so close. Kicking battle. New Zealand win a scrum against the head, which you don't see very much. Willemse, Colby, they've gone for multiple long range drop goals, but they can't get one close. On 72 minutes, it just looks like South Africa are in control, rolling them all into the New Zealand half. But then, big moment, New Zealand rip the ball, and off goes a fresh Anton Leonard-Brown on a counter-attack. Colby definitely with his arms too wide, stopping the pass, so it is a yellow for a deliberate knock-on. And now it's 14 versus 14 for the last 8 minutes. New Zealand have a shot at goal to win the World Cup, but it's a long way out on the angle, 50 metres from Barrett, and he just hooks it wide. So still 11-12, so a tricky one. Obviously, he'll be gutted about it, but no, not a gimme. And then double mistake from Geordie Barrett. He'll be gutted. Follows up that missed kick with a long forward pass as they're on the attack. Fine margins, but it looks like New Zealand are just blowing their last chances. Pollard with another drop at goal. Surveyor actually charges it down. But Peter Steph du Toit with his 27th thunderous tackle of the match. My man of the match by miles. And New Zealand, they're a point down. 3 minutes to go and they're just pinned in their own half. They can't get out. They do actually run it to halfway, to be fair to them, but Surveyor has to force the offload. It's knocked on. South Africa have to survive one last scrum, which they just about do. New Zealand actually hold up a maul, but time is up. It's all over. 11-12. South Africa back-to-back world champions. Amazing stuff from them. They get it done when it matters the most. And it's been talked about a lot that Nienaber and Erasmus had built this team for this tournament. The 2019 one was a bonus. So to win both is just phenomenal. Those players, those coaches go down in Springbok legend. New Zealand, they'll be gutted. They should be. They got it wrong in the first half. But South Africa got it right the whole way through. So consistent, so strong. Amazing defence, amazing pressure. Well deserved the win. What a team the Springboks are. Love to know all your comments on that game. Pop them in the comments below. I'll be back next week with some follow-up videos, I'm sure, to the World Cup, because it's been an amazing World Cup. Love to know what you think, of course, of this final. Well done to the Springboks once again, and I'll catch you next time.